He writes, now is an opportune moment to move forward an agenda to replace the failed money-serving institutions of our present economy with the institutions of a new economy dedicated to serving life. Juan Gonzalez and I spoke to David Korton on Friday about the nation's economic crisis and how it should be addressed.
Well, it really starts with being clear that we have a failed economic system. Now, we've seen very dramatically the consequences of the financial failure. But what we're not talking about is the connection to the environmental failure, the destruction of Earth's living systems, and the social failure of an economic system that by its very design, particularly as manifest in Wall Street, is designed to increase inequality. You know, having worked in international development for many years, I'm very familiar with the argument that the way to deal with poverty is to, through economic growth, to bring up the bottom. But of course what we see, and we've seen this for decades, is that in fact the economic growth tends to raise the top and depress the bottom. A part of it's coming to terms with the fact that we live on a finite planet. We've got finite resources, and the question is, what are our economic priorities? How do we allocate those resources? And it requires a fundamentally different approach to the economy, evaluating economic performance by the things that we really want in terms of human and natural well-being, rather than a system that is purely designed to increase financial returns to the already very wealthy.
Your book's subtitle, From Phantom Wealth to Real Wealth. What is phantom wealth?
Yeah, this is part of understanding the current Wall Street system, which is built around an illusion, the illusion that money is wealth, which then translates into the idea that people who are creating or who are making money are in fact creating wealth. And what Wall Street has become extremely expert at is creating money out of nothing through financial bubbles, through pyramiding lending to create fictitious assets that become collateral for more bank lending, and then combining that with the predatory aspects of usurious lending and deceptive lending and the use of credit cards as a substitute for a living wage, all the games that Wall Street is playing. And it's actually based on a philosophy that says we don't need to produce anything as a country if we can, if we can do all this financial innovation that allows us to create financial assets without producing anything of real value. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and yet it's been the foundation of our economic policy in this country for decades now.
You have spent your life focusing on issues of sustainability. You talk about excess consumption. What is the model that you could see right now? What is the model that we have right now, and what is the one you want to see built?
Yeah. Well, the amazing thing is that our system is built on driving increased consumption, but particularly it is driving the most destructive and wasteful forms of consumption, of course, starting with the war, moving on to automobile dependence, and which is not just about the energy issue, but it's about the fragmentation of society as we move out into the suburbs. It's about the breakdown of the family as we put more and more stress on the family, so you have to have two or more people in the household working at more than one job each just to keep the household together, which means the children are without caretakers and so forth. You begin to put this all together. You say, well, if we began to really organize our economic activities around the things that really matter, we'd be looking at things, well, how do we organize our economy so that it actually builds human relationships, so it supports families, so it creates an environment in which our children can grow up both physically and psychologically healthy? And we'd begin to say, well, first of all, it'd be a good idea to end war. And of course, most of our wars are about competition for resources to maintain our wasteful lifestyle. So let's really get serious about world peace. Then we've got to start reducing our dependence on automobiles and recognize that rather than re-employing auto workers and making automobiles, we should be employing them in building bicycles, building public transportation, and so forth, all the things we need. Instead of investing massively in advertising, redirect those creative communications resources to education. you begin to see in almost every aspect of our economy the opportunity to redirect resources in ways that actually increase our well-being. They're not about sacrifice ultimately, and bringing ourselves into balance with one another and with Earth.